I just got finished watching one of, if not the worst video that I've watched in a while from a basketball creator. This is, I don't know if this should be a call out or whatever, but Simply Hoops, if you plan to make videos in this space like that for 12 minutes, God, I hope you get better, because that was terrible. It was one of the worst career retrospective videos I have seen in a long time. And the fact that the algorithm decided to curse me or bless me with some inspiration, because that was bad. There's a career retrospective on Devin Booker, and it was talking about his interactions with Kobe Bryant, obviously to the tail end of his career, right? And there are just so many problems with this video. One, the video's pacing is all over the place. I mean, I have bad paced videos, but those are like because of their passion. There's a lot of passion to rants and all of that stuff. I bring a little bit of stuff from the table. Sometimes I have to explain basketball concepts and stuff like that, so the video's not going to be perfectly paced, obviously. I do not have the production or the editing skills or talent that a lot of other YouTubers might have, and I'm not interested in gaining those talents. I think that the niche that I have set up currently is fine. I think this is just this format will differentiate me from a lot of other YouTubers. I'm not gonna lie. So that's one. So if anyone has a common problem with how I do my videos, first of all, kiss my ass. So respectfully, if you see this video, bro, and you think, yeah, man, I don't care what this guy's saying, bro. I got 1,000 views on this motherfucking video, bro. I'm him. Cool, bro. I just want you to know that shit was ass. Let me explain to you why, like, almost everything you did in that video was just, like, not only disrespectful to, like, oversimplify Devin Booker's career, but, like, disrespectful to the viewer. Oh, God. So, the way he talks about his career, first of all, he talks about Devin Booker's career as if he's just a loser. Never brings up the Olympic medals that this man has won. Never brings up any of that stuff. And when we're talking about times where Devin Booker has competed, even though it was a very small sample size of him being a competitor, glazes over that immensely and quickly. And I'm challenging myself to cover everything that I think that's wrong with this video in 12 minutes. And that is certainly a challenge, because, man, I think it was 12 minutes and 39 seconds. I'm looking at the clock while I'm recording this. Let's get into this as quickly as possible. Okay, so the 71-point game, it's unavoidable. Talking about Devin Booker's 70 game is easy as possible. Easy money. This is a very important game to Devin Booker's career, but I would tell you that it's a very important thing to the media at large. I don't think Devin Booker gives a fuck about this game. I'm not gonna lie. I don't think you should care about this game, to be honest. Number one, when people were talking about Bam Adebayo's 83-point game, there was only one other game in NBA history that I felt like deserved the amount of hate that one did, and it was this one. Because not only did the Suns not need Devin Booker to score 70 points in this game, not only were the Suns down by 10, it was completely reflective of his career as a whole. And I think you, like, limitedly talked about it and didn't talk about it or expressed what you had to say about it in a way that made any sense or was cohesive at all. It was way too short to talk about that. Him scoring 70 points is not significant. The fact that they lost when he scored 70 points is the entire thing that most people normally talk about this game, and that's for good reason. The Suns are not a good team. They are not a good franchise. So when you bring up the 70-point game, you needed to elevate and be like, yes, Booker did score 70 in this game. But you also needed to talk about the context. They stat pattern, the context of them losing almost the entire game. The fact that his 70 points did not do anything to contribute to these teams winning. When we were talking about Devin Booker being an empty stats guy before he started, like, coming onto the scene and started winning a little bit in 2021, bro, it was for good reason. Number two, you gloss over the play-in and the bubble, like, really quickly. Didn't really talk about his play at all. Booker was absolutely amazing in those series. I don't think it can be talked about in any other way. But you also needed to provide the context that A, it was in a global pandemic. B, the Phoenix Suns were lucky enough to even be invited there. The Phoenix Suns were one of the teams where they were, like, barely even considering having them come. Just straight off the bat, they were barely considering them coming because they thought there was not a chance in hell of them making the playoffs. And they went 8-0. This was the thing. If you're talking about leadership and mentality and all that stuff, the fact that the Phoenix Suns even thought they should come to this was something that should have been talked about, because we saw the results of them going 8-0, and it didn't result in them being in the playoffs. That has something to do with the leadership and mentality of Devin Booker. I don't think them the success they had because of that was anything. Number 2, you talked about his impact, and I get it, it's a Devin Booker video, but you just completely glossed over that Chris Paul was at a point in his career where he was coming off of the OKC year. Everyone thought his career was absolutely done after that. No one thought anything of it. We thought, yeah, we're probably going to see him there and he'll retire in a couple of years. No one talked. Then, after that, we have the entire season. Mind you, the season in which they go to the finals, this team wins 50, has 50 plus wins for the first time since 2009, which had been over a decade at that point. The Suns have been that bad. I don't know why you didn't talk about this part of his career more. It's one of the only interesting parts from an outside view, especially that's very simple to talk about. I don't know why you didn't address any of that at all. Very strange. 2, when you were highlighting the series, for whatever reason, you talked about it backwards. You talked about the 2 40-point games he had in the finals, and then you talked about their first round series against the Lakers. You completely neglected that they played the Clippers in the Western Conference Finals, and you didn't even talk about round 2 either. Why didn't you? Chris Paul had another hamstring injury in one of those games, and Book had to lead the team by himself, and he played well. Why was this glossed over? The fact that even though the Lakers were a shithole at this point, they were fucking going downhill. Everyone had the Lakers winning that series. You didn't talk about that at all. And when you did talk about the Lakers, you referred to them as Kobe's Lakers. One, the Lakers had just won a championship the previous year. A little bit of context would have helped on how they knocked out the defending champions. And then you framed it as Kobe's Lakers, like LeBron James and AD weren't on the fucking roster. Why did you do that? Are you only talking about players that you're really interested in? Are you just specifically a Kobe fan? Your bias is showing. It's weird. It's you're not even a fan of basketball. It's just you're doing it for the views. You're I could talk about basketball and get some pretty easy views on YouTube. What was that about? That was, to say it was incoherent was just nothing. Then not breaking down any of the basketball we saw in the final series. Just none of it. Just throwing out the numbers that he had a couple 40-point games. Didn't talk about the crushing loss that they suffered in Game 6 at home. Didn't talk about how they even I don't understand. It was one of the easiest series to talk about, and you didn't talk about how disappointing it was when they went up 2-0 and everyone was okay, well, the series is pretty much over. You didn't talk about how they were outplayed. You didn't talk about the blunders of the team as a whole and how they drafted DeAndre Ayton. I don't know how you didn't talk about that at all. You barely mentioned that Booker has had several coaching changes throughout his career. He's had the most coaching flips of anyone that I know in the NBA. It's insane. To the fact that I don't think you understand this really. LeBron James has played 23 years in the NBA. Devin Booker has had more NBA coaches than LeBron James has had, bro. That's insane. That not being talked about is insane. How did you just skip that? You talked about his coach when they played against the Celtics early in the video. That guy gets fired next season. They have another coach. That guy gets fired. 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 Doesn't talk about Monty Williams at all during the only era of success that this team even has. Doesn't talk about Monty Williams. Barely talks about Jordan Hart. Doesn't talk about Jordan Hart's background or anything or how he got the job. He was an assistant coach on the Cleveland Cavaliers. The only reason you would even know this if you watch the video is because of what he was wearing when he showed when he was talking about Jordan Hart getting hired. Jordan Hart has been doing an amazing job out there. And then you brought up a sample size of games that I just don't think means anything at all. Devin Booker missed 4 games in January. He missed 4 games. You talked about the team with 500. You didn't extrapolate anything out of that. You didn't come to any interpretations out of the 4 games. I know 4 games is not a lot of games. It's not. It's less than a 10th of the season. It's less than a 20th of the season, actually. I don't know how you don't come away with anything from that. Like, what did you have to say about this? Why did you even bring it up? And then you talked about the 4 games where he wasn't playing had something to do with his leadership. How does that have anything to do with his leadership? And I'm just not even to mention the amount of times that you've been comparing him to Kobe when Devin Booker has said multiple times himself he does not want to be compared to Kobe. He shouldn't be compared to Kobe. I think it's polarizing to talk about like him being one of the successors of him, but he's not even the successor of him. He's not even the most successful successor of them. I don't know why you would pick up on this guy and constantly do it. And then when you talked about the 13th, when he got picked 13th, you never talked about how Kobe got picked 13th. You never talked about how these guys came into the league with, I don't want to say similar expectations because I think there was much more hype around Kobe Bryant, obviously. But like, he's a 13th pick. You never played into that. There are so many small details that you could have like extrapolated and talked and gave meaning to or anything, and you just didn't. You used none of them. I don't understand how you came away with this video. I don't know how you scripted this video and didn't mention any of these things. It's really puzzling. This team had no expectations this season. You're 100% right about that. This team had 0 expectations. You didn't talk about the fact that this team did not get their draft picks back. You didn't talk about how this team is doing that. And this is the thing that I find the most disrespectful. The most disrespectful. The playing in front of my face with the intelligence of the average consumer. The reason Devin Booker is still a Phoenix Sun is because they offered that motherfucker $75 million a season. $75 million for 2 years of basketball. Not, by the way, $75 million per season. $150 million over the next 2 years. That's why he stayed there. Because he's already set up and staying there and there's no expectations for him to play on a different contender or anything. That's what you needed to talk about. And another thing you didn't mention, I don't know how you didn't mention it. Kobe acts out of LA. Kobe acts out of LA. I don't know why Kobe fans always just skip out of this. They're like, 20 years for the same organization. You rep the jersey and all that. Yeah. You know what they did to keep Kobe in that city? Do you know what they did? They paid the man a fuck ton of money even though he wasn't productive anymore. They gave him them legacy deals. That's what they're doing out there for Devin Booker right now. Because I'm going to be completely honest with you. Devin Booker, if he wanted to win, guess what they had available for them? There was a situation in Detroit, a place where he's from, where he could have easily fit alongside of Cade Cunningham, the #1 seed in the Eastern Conference. That was the team that was available for him to go to if he took less money. Devin Booker's motivations are money, dog. I don't know what to tell you. And money's a crazy motivator. I can't lie. If I was making money out of this shit, bro, it'd be even more motivation to go hard. And I failed the challenge of being able to cover what you did in 12 minutes. But there wasn't a lot that you covered. It was vapid. It was a very empty video. I don't know why you even pressed the record button or the produce button. I don't know why you published it out into the ethos. It was a bad video. I hope you get better at it. I hope you do. But that was terrible. It was really bad. The direction was bad. The writing was bad. The editing was cool, even though I feel like you used a lot of clips that had absolutely nothing to do with what you were talking about. They were very out of sync. Another problem with the direction again. But the editing was cool, I guess. Do anything else. Do something better. Because I'm telling you right now, and this is coming from a creator who's not pulling any views at all. But I know what I want as a consumer, and anyone similar to me, you are not going to continue to maintain and pull views with this level of surface that you're touching. You're not. There's been a lot of basketball YouTubers in my childhood. There's been a lot of basketball YouTubers right now. You will not be here in a couple of years if this is what you're going to produce. You won't. Good luck. Figure something the fuck out, because that was a bad video. The next time you cover a player, I hope it's one that you actually like and it's actually one that you researched. Because I feel like you were using Kobe's name to get off a lot of shit that you wouldn't have been able to get off in a lot of other videos. Never do that again. Don't. Please. That being said, anyone else who isn't this guy who found this video somehow, like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Anyway, I'm just gonna dip. I don't even know what the thumbnails of this video is gonna be, man, because I was just so passionate about the recording aspect, because I couldn't bear to see what that was. That was bad. Good luck, man.